previous class on Saturday, we have discussed right EBS volume, mainly about storage. We have discussed that too only specific to EC2 instance, not related to any other storages. Only related to EC2 instance storage we have discussed. So there we have seen like EBS volume. So let me go here. And here this volumes part we have covered. How to launch an EC2 instance, how to attach an EBS volume to EC2 instance, how to detach, as well as what are the types of EBS volume. We have general purpose and provision IOPS and magnetic and all we have. So when we want normal performance and low price, can go for general purpose and provision IOPS, high performance, high pricing. Then we can go for provision IOPS, and we have seen how to take backup of these volumes, not entire instance, only the volume. If you want to take a backup, we need to create a snapshot. These snapshots can be copied from one region to other region that I have showed you. Then we need to convert that snapshot as volume, and then we can attach to EC2 instances. Okay, that we have seen. As well as we have seen this life cycle manager, when we will use in the sense when you want to do in an automated way, when you want to take a backup of volume or instance backup, entire instance backup. If you want to take, you can go for this life cycle manager. You can create a rule so that it will do in an automated way. You don't need to do on manual basis. Okay, if you want to do in an automated way, you can go for this life cycle manager. And then we have seen these placement groups. When EC2 instance is getting placed in data center in background, how you want to place. Okay, either cluster based or spread based. And we have one more type. Once again, let me see. Cluster, spread, and partition based. You can create a groups based on that. You can able to uh, assign the EC2 instance where you want to launch. If you see click on create group, just you need to name, and then here you have to choose the strategy: cluster, spread, and partition. So once it is created, you can choose when launching EC2 instance. So where we can able to choose in the sense, so if I go to instances, launch instance. Okay, so if I come down into advanced section, advanced details, so here you can able to select the placement group. So if I come down little bit, yeah, here you can able to choose the placement group. If you have created placement group, how you want to launch, you can able to select here. If it is not selected also, you can able to launch. But if you need, then you can go for this placement group option. Okay, as in here we have discussed about user data like bootstrap methodology. Whenever EC2 instance getting launched, if you want to launch and if you want to install some application, or if you want to pull some data from internet and all, while instance is getting launched, if you want to do some operations, then you can provide the data here. Okay, based on that it will do that operation for you. So this is my instance. As I mentioned, it has some user data. If I go to actions, okay, and instance setting, if I see edit data, user data is there, right? If I click on this one, this is my user data. So this is my user data. It is installing something. It is installed already, but whenever EC2 instance getting launched, this application has been installed on this server. As well as if I go back to my instance, if I go to security, so in this security group, okay, I have two ports. One is like SSH port number because of this Linux server, and HTTP 80 is open because my application which is installed on this EC2 instance, it is exposing to the world like browser on a port 80. Okay, so now I will try to access my application from the browser. So if I go back, my EC2 instances, running EC2 instance, details, this is my public IP. I'll place it here. So here my application is running on inside this application. So I'm getting response. So the data which I'm given while instance is getting launched, that is able to accessible from the browser. And one more thing, I have not attached Elastic API as of now. Why? Because it's not mandated to use. If you want to keep your public IP as a constant in real time, you can go for this Elastic IP, as I mentioned earlier as well. So volumes part we have covered and I have showed you, but I will show you once multiple volumes if you attach to EC2 instance, how to see in a EC2 instance. All those things we'll see, as well as how to communicate this EC2 instance with IAM. We have covered IAM, right? Now these two are two different services. Now I want to connect EC2 instance to IAM so that IAM want to, like, EC2 instance wants to read how many IAM users are there in this account. It has to read from EC2 instance. So these things I will show you after 20 minutes of the class. Okay, just we'll need to cover some theory now. So now one more thing here, we have covered till here, we have covered all the classes, and today we will see other things. Okay, so main thing here we have in network interface is there. What is this network interface? If you see, it is been launched automatically. It is assigned to my EC2 instance. So based on networking, whenever you're launching an EC2 instance, for each instance network interface will be launched, because using that only you'll get the private IP for your instances. It's like by default it will come with networking part. So whenever we're covering networking part, then you will come to know, as in real world as well, when it comes to your Wi-Fi device which is there in your home, you'll able to see the public IP, but in background that device will be having private IP as well. How it is getting attached, how it is getting that private IP. So the like whoever the provider, suppose consider ACT is there, ACT. So they're giving a connection to your home. Wi-Fi router they're giving, that they will tell you the IP address. This is how you can able to access these things and all they'll tell you. But backend, that particular device, how it is connecting to the network. So it's not related to public IP. There will be private IP. That IP which is getting via network, which they have maintaining there in the office. So they will be having network system. So each and every router which is connected to the network have private IP. So that private IP will be utilized for the communication from their networking server, where they kept that server in central servers and all. From that central server, whenever they're giving new connections, it will get new IP will be assigned for that device. So like that, it will be assigned like a background in real time. But here in AWS Cloud, we have one component VPC, virtual private cloud is there. So from this VPC, automatically this network interface, the elastic network interface will be assigned to one EC2 instance. So it's not that only one network interface needs to be assigned to EC2 instance. You can create, see here, if I go ahead and create one more network interface, okay, for description, second ENI I will mention, elastic interface, which subnet I want to choose. So what I need to do means, which location, North Virginia. So I need to choose the subnet as well. That I will tell you what is subnet and all, don't worry. So but I need to get on which availability zone it is getting running. 1A. Okay. 1A. Then auto assign default security group. So I'll go for this one. Create a secret. So now I have created one ENI network interface which is available. It is not in use, it is available. Now I want to attach this ENI to my instance. Go to here. Attach. So instance attach. So now it has been attached to this instance. If I go ahead and see here, if you see here, there are two IPs, two private IPs are there now. These two IPs can work for your instance when they're communicating internally to this instance from any other service. They can able to use these two IPs, not public IP. Only the private IPs will get for this instance too. You can able to make them useful in your whenever you're communicating this instance with other instance and all. Okay, just remember we can attach two ENIs for single EC2 instance. Network interfaces can be attached to one EC2 instance. It's up to you. But communication will be if you want to communication if you want to establish a communication between two other EC2 instances, you can able to use these private IPs. Whichever the IP you need, you can able to utilize it. It's not that only this one we have to use. If you have attached two ENS, you can able to use. So that is the concept here they're explaining it. So if you want to remove that ENI, you can able to remove as well. It's not that mandatory you have to use two ENIs for instance. Okay, you can attach, or if you don't want, you can able to remove as well. Okay, you can attach security groups for this ENIs and all. As I showed you, you can able to attach security groups as well. Okay, so let me remove this network interface. I don't want to. Okay, just sorry, I need to detach first. Detach. So it will take some time to update the status. So once it is available, I will try to delete. Okay, meanwhile I'll go to my instance. So if I try to refresh, see now my instance having only one ENI. Okay, so this is my public IP, this is my private IP. So this is about ENI. Basically, whenever you launched any instance, if you're launching one more instance, it will ENI will be created automatically from networking. By default, ENI network interface will be attached. Okay, just remember that is one thing. So now one more topic we have, as we seen storage, like instant storage. Only the EC2 instance storage we have seen. One thing we have seen elastic block storage, and then we have instant storage. When we go for instant storage, as I mentioned, by default EBS it will come. If you want to choose instant storage, whenever you do stop and start your operation, then the data which is available for the root volume you will lose, right? That is one thing, instant storage. Someone will ask you, what is the difference between instant storage and EBS volume? You have to remember, when you attach EBS volume to the EC2 instance, whenever you do stop and start, you don't lose your data. If it is EBS, just remember, if it is instant storage, you will lose your data. That is the difference between EBS and instant storage. Okay. So one more thing we have, EFS we have. As same as EBS, we have one more service, EFS we have. So this is the different service. So remember, EFS, elastic file system. So it's same as network file system. If someone knows Linux network file system, it's same as that only. So when we will use in the sense, suppose consider in EBS volume, if you go for general purpose, like suppose you want EBS volume as general purpose, can't able to attach single EBS volume to multiple EC2 instance, right? Only which is like family of I01 and I02, it is able to possible. So here, when you go for EBS volume attached like I01 and I02, like provision OPS, then you can able to attach EBS volume to multiple EC2 instance. Because when you go for these families, pricing will be more, right? Performance will be more. You can't able to pay the amount. If you are able to pay, you can able to utilize. But if some people they need only general purpose EBS volumes, then they can't able to attach single EBS volume to multiple EC2 instances, right? That type of like users in AWS cloud, they have option of EFS volume, elastic file system. Using this elastic file system, it's same as network file system, single storage volume can be attached to multiple EC2 instances. Just remember, EFS elastic file system that can be attached to multiple EC2 instances in AWS cloud, whether it may be single availability zone or multiple availability zones. Just remember, EBS volume and instance has to be present in same availability zone. If you remember, I mentioned EBS volume and instance has to be present in same availability zone. Then only we can able to attach EBS volume and EC2 instance. But here, when it comes to EFS, if it is running on three different regions or multiple uh, availability zones, you can able to attach this EFS. So suppose consider in real-time example, you have deployed three instances in three different availability zones. Your application is running on three different availability zones. So consider Mumbai, Hyderabad, Delhi. You have launched an EC2 instances on three different data centers. Now you want to share one file, one particular file to all these instances which is running on three data centers. Okay. Now which service you need to utilize? If you're using EBS volume, you can't able to share because one availability zone, that means one data center EBS volume can't be attached to other data centers. EC2 instance and EBS volume has to be present in same availability zone when you go for EBS. But we have EFS is there. When you want to share a file to multiple EC2 instances, which is running on different availability zones, you can go for this EFS. Highly available, scalable as well, and expensive as well. But how much you have utilized this EFS volume, that much only you have to pay for this AWS cloud. Just remember, EFS is nothing but elastic file system. When you want to share a file to multiple EC2 instance which is running on different availability zones, you can go for this elastic file system. Okay. When you go for EBS volume, you can't able to share a file to multiple availability zones with single EBS volume. Okay. Using this EFS, it is possible. Okay. So that you have to remember EFS advantages. So basically, it will support for like cost content management, web serving, data sharing, and all you can able to utilize. Basically, it will use network file system only from the Linux part. If you know Linux, network file system, like see in real time, if you're working for a company, like once you log into your office company monitors and all, they have CPU, and then they will be having in that here when you go for systems, right? If you go for this PC, you can able to see one drive, network drive will be there. So when they want to install some application, they will upload these files into network drive. From the network there, they will try to install. That means that network drive will be common for all the servers, all the systems which is running on your company. So that time they will use that NFS. In same concept in AWS cloud, they call it as EFS, Elastic File System. If you want to share a file with multiple EC2 instances which is running for your company with different availability zones, you can go for this EFS. Only it is supported for Linux based systems only. Just remember, only EFS will be supported for Linux based systems, not for Windows. If it is a Linux based system, then only EFS will support. It's not for Windows. Just remember. Encryption, because is whenever when I'm dealing to EBS volume, if you want to encrypt your data, encryption is available, right? Same as EFS as well. Okay. Like if you want this, you don't need to do like manual auto scaling. Auto scaling in the sense, suppose your data is getting increased, suppose you have created EFS volume of 6 GB. Like if you're utilizing EFS volume more than 6 GB, it will increase automatically. You don't need to plan or anything. Just you have to pay how much uh, time you have utilized, how much space you have utilized from AWS cloud. That much only you have to pay for AWS cloud EFS volume. Okay, I will show you how to launch and how to attach as well. And then what is the difference between this EBS and EFS means? See, EBS volumes, one instance you can attach to only one instance, but EFS volume can be attached to hundreds of instances across availability zones. Okay, EBS volumes are locked to only single availability zone. As I mentioned, EBS volume has to be attached present in single availability zone. If it is EC2 is running on different availability zone, EBS is running on different availability zone, you can't able to attach. Both has to be present in same availability zone. And when it comes to EFS, it can be in different availability zones as well. You can able to attach instances which is running on different availability zones. EFS is available for only Linux based instances in AWS cloud. Okay, like EBS volumes, both can be attached Windows as well as Linux. Okay, it has GP2 and a provision IOPS as I mentioned. It has only Linux based systems. It will be prices also more when it comes to EBS. EFS pricing will be more. Okay, if you want normal pricing, you can go for this EBS. But if you want to take backup of this EFS volume, we don't have. But when it comes to EBS, we can take a snapshot, we can restore it again, we can copy that EBS volume from one region to other region. Okay, just remember those are the advantages in EBS and EFS. If you go, these are the advantages. So these are about EFS volume. So when it comes to practical, so here once you go to services, you can look for EFS. So these are EFS, network file system. Okay, create file system. Just give a name first. EFS. Okay. Then you have to choose a networking. So these are networking by default. Just create it. So it has been created. So if I click on here, if I go down, see it has been attached. Total size 6 KB. Okay, this much space as of now. Whenever you are getting uploading data to EFS, it will increase automatically. You don't need to do anything. Just remember, EFS volume can increase automatically based on the data we are uploading. Okay, this is the default size, it came automatically. If I go to monitoring, you can able to see how many files you have uploaded, how much CPU, all those things you can able to see. And file system policies, you can, if you want to write a policy means permissions. Remember, in AWS cloud, policy is nothing but permissions. If you want to control the permissions related to this EFS, you can write a JSON script. Okay, and access points. So if you want to create access point means if you want to link this with other services, you can create access point as well. And if I go to networking, see here it has been launched in this region to all these available zones: 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. See here 6 data centers are available in this region. Okay, it is getting created. Okay, as of now. And replication, if you want to replicate this EFS volume, like duplicate, if you want to create, you can go ahead and create this replication. Okay, so now my EFS volume is available. Now I want to attach this EFS volume to one particular EC2 instance. So let me show you how to attach. Go to EC2 instances. So now launch, and while launching EC2 instance, you can able to mount as well after instance is getting launched. So how to mount in the sense, there is one process. Let me show you. So EFS volume, if I click on, so here if you attach, these commands has to be installed, run on your system. This one way, and whether via DNS or IP based. Both you can able to utilize. If you want to see learn, You can go ahead and learn and you can able to attach. But easy way to attach this EFS volume to EC2 instances while launching an EC2 instance. So consider EFS instance. EFS I will mention. So Linux based T2 micro. I don't want to keep here. So now if I go see here, this is my storage. Like the EBS volume is root volume. That time you have to be. And if you click on here, file system. If you remember, see here, elastic file system. EFS is nothing but elastic file system. Name itself is this one. So while launching EC2 instance, 0 file systems are there. Just click on this edit. Okay. So here, two file systems will be there. EFS and FSX only. So now I will select this EFS. Okay. You have no file system. Why it is not getting refreshed? So let me refresh it again. So it's not visible here. Okay. So let me see my EFS volume is available or not. Network. Yeah, it is available on all the North Virginia. Yeah, why? Let me show you. So why it is not selecting the sense? We need to select the subnets. So that is the reason it's not showing. So let me select 1A only. Okay, 1A I need to select the subnet. If you are not selecting subnets, that EFS volume it will not show. Why? Because EFS volumes are available at available zones level, at region level, but it is available at data centers level. So that is the reason it's not showing previous. So now I have selected this option. So now if I go down, so you see here, now it is showing, it is giving option to add. Okay, add. So now the EFS volume which is created, it is has been selected automatically because only one volume is the EFS volume that has been attached. So now just launch an EC2 instance. So while creating EC2 instance, attaching EFS volume is very easy compared to performing the steps a lot. So now EC2 instances has been launched. So if I select this instance, okay, let me give it as name as EFS. Okay. Now if I go to storage, so where you can able to see in the sense, this is my root volume, this is my EBS volume, okay, 8 GB. So now you can able to see, let me refresh, it will take some time. Either you can able to connect this instance, just this is the option in EC2 instance storages, like we have EBS, instance storage and EFS. Which one you want to utilize? EBS volume, it's compulsory for root volume, but if you want to share a file between multiple EC2 instances, you need to go for this EFS. Okay, now I'm into server, so I'm entering sudo su hyphen. Why? Because this is the command in Linux. If you want to go for root user, that means in this instance there is one root user will be there. He has full access on this instance. So by default it has been attached, set it. So if I am entering this one, it will change to root. So this user has all permissions compared to this EC2 user. So this is a root user. So now if I want to check my like volumes which is there in this EC2 instance, you can enter lsblk. Just enter. See, like 8 GB is the disk. So otherwise mount.cd/mnt EFS I think is my volume. So if I do I don't have fs1 is the cd fs1. If I do ls hyphen l, I can able see no let me create a file. So in Linux, if you want to create a file, you can able to use touch command. So test one I'll replace. So now if I do ls means listing. So in particular folder, if you want to see the data which is available on this file, just enter ls. Now I have test file is there, so I can write anything into this one. So this has been attached to same the drive. Suppose consider I want to I will launch one more EC2 instance to show how data will be shared across two EC2 instances. Now test. I don't want to keep here. I will select the subnet. That may be. Now I will select 1D. Okay. Just remember, before instance has been launched into 1A. Now I am selecting 1D. So file system, add file system. So now it has been attached. Automatically it has been selected. Launch an EC2 instance. So remember, now in this EC2 instance, I have created one file. This same file I need to share with other EC2 instance which is now creating. I have attached EFS volume to both the EC2 instance, same EFS volume. So now if I connect this instance, you can able to see the test file which has created in this EC2 instance. How it is possible in the sense using this EFS volume only. If you attached same like single EFS volume to multiple EC2 instances, whatever the data which is available on EFS volume can be seen in other EC2 instances as well. So remember our test file. Let me write some data. So vi test. So in Linux, if you want to write a data into file, there are some editors, Nano and Vim. Okay, Linux part like we will cover. Don't worry. Just remember, I'm just telling what are the commands I'm utilizing as of now. Vim editor is there in Linux. If you want to write a data into file in Linux, we need to use Nano editor, Nano editor or Vim editor. I'm using Vim editor here. Just I will enter. So I'll sorry, escape I'm inserting something. Hello. So now I have written. If you want to come out from this file, just press escape on your system :WQ. Okay, escape WQ is the save and quit. Just enter. Now I came out from this file. Now if you want to see that content which is available on this file only on this screen, then you can able to use cat. Just enter. So I can able to see the content which is there in this file. Just remember, if you want to create a file in Linux, you can able to use touch command. If you want to write a data inside this file, you can go for editors, Nano or Vim editor. I have been utilized VA editor like Vim editor. And if you want to see a data, not only this file, any file in Linux system, if you want to see the content which is available on that file, you can able to utilize this cat command. So now in this instance, I have attached EFS volume and I created one file. I entered this data. Now same EFS volume I have attached to this second EFS instance. Okay. So now let me connect this instance. I'll show you the data which is replicate from this EC2 instance to this one. So now I'm into this instance. If I do sudo su hyphen converting to root, so cd. So in Linux, if you want to go into particular directory, you need to use cd, change directory. Cd means change directory. Just remember in Windows, you can go to this folder, this folder, this folder by clicking on it, right? In Linux, it's not that. We have to communicate via commands only. So whenever if you want to go into particular directories, we have to use this cd command. Cd mnt efs fs1. So this is my directory. If I do list, see here, I can able to see test1 or test. Both I have given wrong name while creating data into that instance. Here, instead of using this test1, I have utilized va test. See, Vim editors or nano editors, two ways we can able to utilize. It will create a file and it will add the data into the file as well. So that is the reason it has been added test. Okay. So in this test file, I have test good morning is there. So now in this, if I open test cat test, okay. Second instance, I can able to see the data which is available in this instance. Suppose let me create one more file. Okay, touch test 3. I'm creating in other EC2 instance. If I do test 3, if I do ls, now I have test 1 and test 3 is there. So now if I go to other EC2 instance, if I do ls, see here, 3 files are there. So like this, using this EFS volume, it is easy to share our data between EC2 instances which is running on different availability zones. Just remember, Elastic File System, it can be utilized as network file system in AWS Cloud. This is the practical about EFS volume. So just do practice and let me know if you have anything on this one. So let me terminate this instance. I don't want to keep. So again this instance. So that is all about EFS. Okay, there is like one more service in AWS Cloud, so that you can able to utilize. Okay, in this EFS, if you want to use data sync, you can able to utilize transfer, backup. Three different options we have in EFS as well, and AWS Cloud as well. If you want to sync our data to AWS Cloud, we can able to use these services. Okay, that is all about EFS volume as of now. Coming back to EC2 instance, we have seen storage related to instance only. Okay, not we have seen entire storage services in AWS Cloud. Only to the related to EC2 instance, we have seen it. We have EBS volume, instance storage, and EFS. Just remember these topics. So now, when it comes to here, load balancing. So what is this load balancing? So what are the types? How it will work in the sense? Let's see one by one. Okay. So now, so before going to available load balancing, we need to see small topic on this high availability and scalability. So what does this mean? So whenever you are hearing these words high availability and scalability, what does this means? High availability name itself it shows high availability. What does this mean? See, like suppose you have created one EC2 instance. Consider in that in EC2 instance, your application is running. Consider here in North Virginia, you have created one instance. So in this EC2 instance, your application is running. You thought that this entire region it will go down due to some floods or natural disaster, whatever it may be. Something was happened. This entire data center was gone. You haven't taken backup, you haven't created this replica instance and all, nothing you did. If this data center goes, entire application will go on, right? So now what is the next like next process what you need to do if you don't want to lose the data or application which is running on single region? If you want to make highly available, that means if something goes wrong to one region, like take I need to take a backup of this entire application to other region. That is like high availability, right? You're keeping as safe side. Your application is getting installed safe side on different region as well, right? Suppose this region was gone. You have install same instance, same application on this region, Ohio region. Now this region is available, your application will be up and running as same as previous, right? So that is the high availability. You are making sure your application needs to be deployed into different regions, not into single region. That is the reason AWS is also recommending all the companies to do high availability option. High availability in the sense you need to deploy your applications infrastructure what it has been created by you to different region. So that is like high availability. You don't lose your application. You don't lose your data. Everything it is there in different region. If something goes wrong with other region, so that is like high availability. When it comes to scalability means, suppose consider your application today your application is running on one server. Your application got popular. So after 1 year, one server is not capable of handling the load which is coming to your applications. Users got increased. Suppose first 1 year you are getting requests like 1,000 users are accessing your application. So second year it went to 50,000. Single server can't able to handle the load. You need to have multiple servers. So that time you can go for this scalability. In this scalability, we have vertical scalability and horizontal. That topics we'll cover later. Just simple example. If you want to manage the load related to your application, you need to go for this scalability. Just remember, high availability in the sense you need to make sure your application has to be deployed into two different regions or multiple regions for the high availability. If something goes wrong with one region, you need to have a backup, right? So that if you're creating like that, then that process will call high availability. And scalability means based on load of your application, it will increase automatically based on what type of setting you are doing it. So these are the two terms in AWS Cloud: high availability and scalability. Okay, so now we need to see these things going forward. So in this main topic is like load balancing. What is this load balancing? So basically, whenever your application is deployed into multiple servers, consider in this example only, consider my application is deployed into three different servers, three EC2 instance. Consider same application I have deployed into three servers. Now, whenever user is accessing from browser, suppose consider I'm accessing application from this browser. Okay, I'm accessing application from this from. Okay, consider Amazon.com only. I'm entering Amazon.com. So the request it will go to my servers, like which is running on AWS cloud or whichever the cloud it is running. Right? It will go to if it is single server, direct request. It will take the request, it will serve the request to one single server. Consider if it is deployed to 100 servers. Now, the request which is coming from browser, who will manage? So, before to this, let me show you. Consider you have one server here. Okay. So now user is here. Okay. So now from browser is trying to access application. If it is running on single server, directly it will go to one server only. There is no required any additional device and all because straightforward. Taking request from the browser, it will go to one server. Now you have multiple servers now. Suppose consider you have three different servers now. Now user is accessing application from the browser. Now browser by default it doesn't understand to route to which server I need to route the request which is coming from the browser. If it is deployed into multiple servers, your application it is deployed to 100 servers now. Browser by default it can't able to route the request. If it is a single server, so it's straightforward. If it is to multiple servers, then it will not able to understand to which server I need to serve the request. It is not possible. So now they have utilized one component as load balancing. So now, whichever the request is coming from the browser, first it will come to this load balancer. Then this load balancer, it will balance the load across the instances, how many you have. Just remember in this example also. So here they have utilized load balancer as a device, middle of the application and user. So what this will do means it will distribute the load across the instances. If you have 100 servers are there, it will distribute the load across 100 servers. Okay, just remember this server has like traffic, like CPU it is 60%. This one is like 50%. This one is like 40%. So now whichever the request is coming, which has low like CPU rate, it will go to that server because it has more capability, right? So based on that server performance, it will distribute the load across multiple EC2 instances by using this load balancer. You don't need to use load balancer. See here, now I have one EC2 instance, right? I don't have any load balancer now. See, I don't have any load balancer. Now I need to access my application. So now what I will do, I will take my public IP. So this is how to access my application which is running on here. Just I'll go ahead and enter the IP here. Now I'm able to access my application which is running on instance. It's just straightforward. Browser is taking the request and giving the response for me. Consider same application deployed into two different EC2 instance. It's not able to understand by default. There might be some device. That device is like load balancer. Just remember, always you don't need to use this load balancer. It's up to you. If you want to utilize load balancer, you can able to utilize. Or if you don't want to use the load balancer, just leave it. Okay, it's straightforward. If it is running on single server. Consider same application I have deployed into two different EC2 instances. So now I don't need two different URLs. I don't need two IPs to access this application. I need to have single IP address to access my application which is running on two different EC2 instances. Then we need to go for this load balancer. So load balancer, basically this is how it will work. To distribute the load across multiple EC2 instances, we can able to use this load balancing. See here, load balancers are servers that forward traffic to multiple servers. Just forwarding the traffic, we need to use these load balancers. Okay, this load balancers, it will distribute the traffic to backend EC2 instance which is there. It will have DNS name, okay, and it will do regular checks. Load balancer, what it will do means regularly it will check the instance health checks, whether it is running or stopping or something was going wrong with this instance and all. Everything will be checked by using this load balancer. Why? Because whenever it is distributing traffic to backend EC2 instance, it has to be healthy. Suppose consider this instance is down. It can't able to distribute the traffic. It has to be running state. It has to be healthy. Then only it can able to distribute the traffic to the backend EC2 instance. Backend means in suppose load balancer is the backend, right? So now the request which is coming from the browser, it is coming to load balancer. Now this load balancer it will distribute the load, right? So these are the backend servers. So likewise, you need to use load balancer if it is required for you for your applications. Okay, it is highly available across zones level. Public traffic or private traffic can able to separate as well. It's not that only to the public cloud only it is available or private it's not available. For both, traffic can be routed using these load balancers. Just remember, load balancers are nothing but to distribute the traffic to EC2 instances to multiple EC2 instances. We can able to use load balancing. Okay. So as I mentioned, health checks. So what are the advantage of this health checks in essence? So the EC2 instance which is running on AWS cloud, back into the load balancer, it has to be ensure that EC2 instance up and running without any failure. If it is not failure, then only it will route the traffic. If it is in stop state or something was wrong with that instance, it will not able to distribute the traffic to that EC2 instance. Just remember. I will show you how to create health checks and all. Just don't worry. So just you need to know what is load balancing. Okay, load balancer can do health checks about a backend servers which is running on backend to the load balancer. Okay, just remember. So these things can be done, and in this regarding to the like load balancing, we have AWS service ELB. So these like they will call load balancing. They will call elastic load balancer. They will call in AWS cloud. General terms, load balancing means to forward the traffic to backend EC2 instance, we will be using load balancing. Load balancing can do health checks related to EC2 instances, the servers which are there in a backend. Okay. So when it comes to AWS cloud, we have load balancer as a service. Okay. This is the load balancer. In this load balancer as well, different types are there. So let's see here. If I click on create, so load balancer types: application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer. So these are the types we have available in AWS cloud. So let me complete this theory. Then tomorrow I will show you the practical. Okay. So one by one we'll see. And then we have one more one, classic load balancer as well. This has been deprecated. That means it has been deleted. If you want to utilize, it's not possible to utilize. If you're utilizing, if any updates was like updating and all, you can't able to get. So that is the reason they are suggesting to use these three load balancers as of now. Okay. First one, application load balancer. When you need to use this application load balancer instance, suppose your application is accessible from the browser, either it's like HTTP or HTTPS, whether it may be secure or unsecured. Traffic is there. That means your application is only accessible from the web browsers. It has both the request related to HTTP and HTTPS. Then you can go for this application load balancer. Okay. See here, choose an application load balancer when you need to flexible feature set for your applications with HTTP and HTTPS traffic. When you have these traffics, that means your application is accessible from the browser, then you need to use this application load balancer. When you have applications, but that applications need TCP UDP related traffic, these like transport control protocol or unified something is there, unified, let me see, UDP and TCP. So this transmission control protocol, and this one UDP user datagram protocol. These two protocols is there for your application. Some applications will be there. Network based applications. That type of applications you have. If you want to use this load balancing, then you can go for this network load balancer. Suppose consider you need to use third party virtual appliance. That means third party applications you want to utilize for load balancing. That is also usable. It's not that only what are the services offering from Rails Cloud you need to use. If you want to include third party virtual appliances, then you can go for this gateway load balancer as well. So you need to have third party load balancer on top of your AWS cloud. The traffic which is coming from the browser, it will control by third party virtual appliance. Then it will come to AWS cloud. But these are everything under the AWS cloud only. Network load balancer, application load balancer. So we have one more classic load balancer. This was previous when you have both HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, UDP. Both if you have, then you can go for this classic load balancer. If you see here, HTTP, HTTPS, TCP and SSL. When you have both traffic related to HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, UDP, then we can go for this classic load balancer. These are the types available in AWS Cloud. Just remember, that is what I covered here. Classic load balancer, when you have both the traffic, HTTP, HTTPS or TCP, UDP, go for this classic load balancer. If you know about this OSI layer in networking, basic concept, OSI model we have. So these like OSI model basically in networking basics level. So these are the layers: application layer, presentation, session, transport, network, data, and physical. Any application, Amazon.com, Facebook.com, any application now you are accessing, right? All those applications will be having these layers. Okay, networking part, like OSI models, the basic in your college times you might have studied this one. Application, presentation, session, transport, network, and data. So in these sessions, mainly the load balancer will be utilized. See here, classic load balancer is available on layer 4. Layer 4 in the sense, this one. At transport layer, classic load balancer will work. And we have one more, right? Let me show you. Application load balancer. This will work at layer 7. So when it comes to layer 7, we have this one. At top application layer, application load balancer it will work. Classic load balancer has transport, and layer 7 application load balancer. Whichever the traffic which is coming to your application, first it will come to application load balancer. Based on that, it will distribute the traffic. And one more thing we have, network load balancer. Network load balancer at layer 4. Classic and network load balancer it will work at layer 4. When you have TCP UDP related traffic, you can go for this network load balancer. It is not included in free tier. Suppose now we are using free tier account, we can't able to utilize that much. We can able to create, but we can't able to utilize this service, network load balancer. Only the application load balancer is available for our purpose. Okay, in this application load balancer as well, how you want to route the traffic from the browser, is it path based or hostname based or query based? So these options we have, how you want to route, that I will show you tomorrow's class practically. Just don't remember. Then we have one more concept like target groups. So what are these target groups in a sense? Every load balancer has target group. In that target groups only, you have to register your EC2 instance. That means, suppose your application is running on one EC2 instance. Like directly, load balancer can't be linked with that EC2 instance. It is not possible. You have to create a group. That group they will call target group. In that group, you have to link your EC2 instance. Okay, that is like target group. See here, these my load balancer. Backend they have target group 1, target group 2. You can have n number of target groups. In the target group, you need to link your EC2 instance. Tomorrow I will show you, don't worry, how to link on all. So then once it is assigned to target groups, these target groups can be linked to these load balancers. So this application load balancer, what type of target groups it will support in the sense, EC2 instances, ECS task, that means container services, Lambda functions, IP address, all those things it will support. When it comes to a network load balancer, it will support EC2 instance, IP addresses, so only application load balancer. These three types it will support in target groups. See, application load balancer has more options: Lambda, ECS, EC2, and then IP address. When it comes to network load balancer, it has only three options: EC2, IP, or application load balancer. These type of options they have in target groups. You can link to that like network load balancer. And when it comes to gateway, only two options, EC2 and IP address. If it is like EC2 instance or IP based, only those things can be part of gateway load balancer that can be attached to your gateway load balancer. Okay, so how it will work in the sense, as I mentioned, gateway load balancer has to be top of the your cloud, whichever the traffic which is coming, it will come to gateway load balancer, then it will go to your EC2 instance which are there in the backend. Okay, it's like third party if you want to utilize. As well as we have sticky session. Sticky session instance, suppose consider I have one particular user. So basically what it will do in load balancer, whichever the traffic which is coming to your EC2 instance, it will distribute any one of these EC2 instance, right? It's not that single EC2 instance it will serve. It will distribute across all the EC2 instances. Based on that, it will give you the response. But I have one user. This user wants to get the response from only from this user, this server. Whenever he is accessing application, he wants to get response from this server only. He don't want to get response from these two servers, only from this server. Then we can go for the sticky session. That is also possible in AWS Cloud. If you want to implement those kind of scenarios, you can go for this sticky session. That means it will give you only from that server. If you see in this example, basically load balancer how it will work, it will take the request, it will give the response from these two servers only. But once you set up this sticky session, so this orange user is accessing application. He wants to get response from this server only. He will get only with this session, only with this server. Suppose this user is accessing only from the server he need response. You can able to get using this sticky session. Once you use this sticky session, it can be possible to assign one user request to one particular server in load balancer as well. That is also possible. In this sticky session, they have multiple options: custom cookie, application cookie, or duration based cookies. So if you want to set up, so you need to set up like this. So there, if you want to application based cookies, so you want or duration based cookie, based on application or based on the timing. If you want to set, you can able to set as well. So these are about uh, theory about load balancing, and we'll see practical tomorrow. Okay, don't worry. Just remember what is load balancing, what are the types of load balances we have, and how it will work. And then we have target groups we have seen, and sticky sessions we have seen. And this one we'll see later, cross zone. Okay, just remember these things regarding to load balancer. And then tomorrow we'll see practical about this load balancer. And then we'll see this auto scaling as well. Based on load, how it will increase the instances count and all we'll see tomorrow. We'll complete tomorrow EC2 instance part. Then we will move on to other services in AWS Cloud. Yeah, one more thing, just to okay, I'll show you tomorrow. Don't worry. Yeah, just remember these things. EC2 instance part, we're just covering it. So we will cover practical about load balancing and we'll cover auto scaling tomorrow. It will be completed. So till now we have seen only the like IAM, EC2 we are covering it, and EFS. So these things we are covering it as of now. We'll move a little bit fast. Don't worry. And this is all about today's class. If you have anything, let me know. Otherwise, you can drop off. Thank you all.